Our state fair is a great state fair. Don't miss it. Don't even be late. Hey, everybody. It's Jimmy Aquino with the 44th episode of Comic Beat Insider, the Zoom pandemic podcast we started last year, covering films, TV, comics, and whatever we want. Continuing musicals month, as you just heard me sing, we are covering the 1945 Rogers and Hammerstein film State Fair. And as I said, I'm Jimmy Aquino with the podcast Comic News Insider, the weekly podcast covering comics, TV, film, and pop culture.
And I'm Heidi McDonald. I'm the editor-in-chief of The Beat at comicsbeat.com.
And returning to us, our musicals ringer is Erin Crosby, who's a performer herself, off Broadway, Forbidden Broadway. We played some of her from her Shout musical last week. We played a little bit of it, but also owns her own company called Pickles and Pie, which I'm still waiting on my pie, much less my pickle. And
Pickles.
there.
We got some pickles.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us again, Erin.
It is beyond my pleasure talking with you guys about musicals. This month is a blast. I'm having so much fun.
Excellent. And for the first time, an old friend of mine who is a musical theater performer in her own right. She was on the national tour of Evita, Lena Lamont on the national tour of Singing in the Rain, many other things, but she also owns her own company called Ovation, which I don't know. I can't describe it, so you can. But welcome, Kerri Jill Garbis. Kerri.
Hey, Kerri. Thank you for coming.
Want to tell us real quick about Ovation if you want?
I didn't hear anything after you said the word old, so
that's all right. Well, I mean,
I have to go.
very old friend.
A veteran friend.
Thank you. Thanks.
We met at a terrible production of Tokyo Can. It was a horrible show. Sorry, our friends were in it, but it was.
Yes, we had mutual friends in the show. We ended up sitting next to each other and really bonded over the fact that that's possibly one of the worst.
Nothing brings two people together quicker than experiencing the same bad piece of theater together.
And our friends who were in it didn't like theater, so we don't feel too bad. So yeah. Ooh, it was rough. But we became really good friends. We went on one date, but on the date, within 5 minutes, she let me know that it wasn't a date. So she was like, "You're awesome. You're really funny, but this isn't going to happen. So want to be friends?" I'm like, "All right, I guess."
We also lived together for a while, and actually off and on lived together for a while.
True. Very true. Yes. Yeah. So we go way back, and we saw State Fair together on Broadway. We went and saw it together. I think we're the only two. And it lasted about 3 months. It was a great show. It just opened up the year Rent opened up and Bring Into Noise, Bring Into Funk. And it got really bad reviews when it opened because they had
it was like a quiet, it had like a nice quiet presence. Jimmy, I don't know if you remember, I had friends in it. 2 of my friends were in it.
Oh, really?
That was really why we wanted to see it. Yes, my friend Amy was in it. Her husband, Ben Wright.
Yes, that's right. I think we said hi to them afterwards. That's right. Yeah.
We did.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love it. I found an article about it with the guy that wrote the book. Is it Tom Briggs? I think I sent it to you, Erin. And he talked about why they think it did bad, because the tour did really well. That's why they brought it to Broadway. But somebody came in apparently on the night all the reviewers there and decided to tell the cast all the reviewers are there. So from the opening mark, John Davidson dropped a prop, and from there it was downhill. They said that was one of the worst shows they ever did, and that was the show the reviewers saw. It was I loved it. I thought it was a great show. But going back to State Fair, the musical was actually 1945. It was the only Rogers and Hammerstein musical that was a movie first. It was not. It was not a stage production till a little bit later. But yeah, it was directed by Walter Lang, who later directed one of my favorites, The King and I.
Shall we dance?
Yeah, and it is a musical adaptation because it was a book first by Phil Strong from 1932. Then they made a very long movie, which I started watching and then stopped. A non-musical film with Will Rogers and Janet Gaynor. That's 2.5 hours long. It's good, but I was just like, oh my God. Okay.
Can I leave the fair now?
And there's no songs. I'm like singing the songs. I'm like adding music to it.
It is dry. Like I had it on, but I can't say I watched it. It was more of a podcast for me. Like and stuff. Because it's dry. It's dry like a bone.
Yeah, it's true. But then the Fox folks showed Rogers and Hammerstein, but it was an Oscar nominated film, the 33 one, and Fox is like, we could do something with this. What do you guys think? They're like, we can turn it into a musical, sure. So they did. So so then became this 1945 hit with a pretty great cast, I thought. Jeanne Crain, was the up and coming sort of ingenue star, and what was his name?
Dana Andrews.
Dana Andrews was a big star already. Dick
Vivian
Hames.
Blaine.
Vivian Blaine was a big. Yep.
I mean.
Yeah, Dick Hames was a big crooner, well-known crooner at the time. So so it had some names in there.
The original Captain Andy.
Yeah, there you go.
and let's set the scene. I mean, we want to do our first impressions of this, but this is coming off of Oklahoma and Carousel.
Yeah.
Oklahoma, the most influential musical theater production of all times. I think that's fair to say. That rewrote what a musical could be, what a musical was, and Rogers and Hammerstein were just, every single freaking song in both those shows is a masterpiece that we hum constantly. So and then they did State Fair.
Yep.
Now, I know you guys love this movie.
Listen.
Okay.
Don't make me fight you, Heidi.
Yeah, I'm not gonna fight. No, I understand. So Jimmy, let's talk. When did you first see this? What is your personal history with?
I don't think, because I was such a Rogers and Hammerstein kid, so I saw a ton of stuff as a kid. I don't remember seeing this as a kid though. I may have. I think it may have been after I saw the musical with Kerri that I was like, I really like this, and I went and bought it. DVD, like that. Or I think I had it on VHS at one point, and then I eventually bought the DVD. But yeah, I think it was probably, so it must have been, the Broadway show was 96, so it must have been sometime around then, and I've seen it several times since then, because off and on I'm like, oh, State Fair's on, I'll throw it on and watch it, or it used to be on Amazon for free, so I would like occasionally throw it on. So yeah, I love the music. It's fun. It's bouncy.
Interesting. So, as I revealed last week in the first week of Musical Month, that I have a background as, say, a cabaret singer, pianist, and so I was just, we had in my household, we had the Rogers and Hart songbook and the Rogers and Hammerstein songbook and the Irving Berlin, all the books. I knew all the songs. Especially Rogers and Hart. I think they wrote the best songs, but Rogers and Hammerstein wrote the best musicals. Okay, so we could talk a lot about the difference there. So I had never seen State Fair until, so often we do here in Comic Beat Insider, until Wednesday night. And so, of course, I knew the song, It Might As Well Be Spring, It's a Grand Night for Singing, which are the two best known songs, but I'd never heard It's a Great State Fair before. So, or IOA, I did not know the other songs. And I know you guys are really down on the 62 version, which I understand, but I had to watch that too. And that has the song about To the Pig. I mean, with lyrics by Richard Rogers. So, I mean, there's just, how can you deny
They did
that?
it better in the musical, because in the 62 version, the song To the Pig, he basically speaks it. But in the musical, it's a 4-part barbershop harmony, and it's beautiful.
That's better.
I love it. It's like this beautiful, I could play real quick if you want. I could show you guys.
Yes.
Very fast, Jimmy. Very fast.
Really quick.
We've learned that music clips are a big red flag in this world of ours. So
I'll just do a little quick. Here we go. So very quick and easy. See, I'll stop the share.
Oh, they're singing.
Yeah, it was like a very cool, like very 4-part harmony. Is beautiful. But yeah, and it wasn't in the 45 version. But yeah, so that's when you first saw it the other night then. Okay.
So yeah, and I mean, listen, I've been to the fair. Okay. I've been to the real fair. Sure. So I've had a lot of adventures at the fair. And
well, that's another podcast.
That is another podcast.
Pardon me. On the Tilt-A-Whirl, what happened?
On the Tilt-A-Whirl, yes, on the Tilt-A-Whirl. And so I definitely related to this greatly. And,
which state fair did you attend?
Well, I went to the California State Fair.
Oh, okay.
Okay. But I mean, I've been to fairs. Maybe not the state fair. I mean, in Maine, we went when I lived in Maine.
Yeah, everybody has these little ones.
Fairs,
the county fairs are different.
The county fairs, yes. But went to California, this brought back some memories. I'll just say that. So I definitely related to it, and I would not say it vaulted to my top 10 list. I'll just put that out there, but certainly a very entertaining film and lots of sociological elements to discuss.
Okay.
All right, sure. All right, Erin, when did you first see it?
This one goes back to my childhood.
When I was 3.
my whole life, I do not remember the first moment. It probably was when I was about 5. Was probably the first time I saw this movie, and instantly became one of my favorites as a child. Maybe it's because the Frank family felt so familiar. Like it felt like it was
the Franks.
The Franks. It felt like they were my family. I thought it was my grandparents. I loved that cozy feeling of how sweet they were to each other. And I think that's why I like gravitated towards it. And I just thought that Jeanne Crain was the most gorgeous, beautiful. And I loved every dress she put on. And I would just be like, I know. So that was it was my eye candy. It was my ear candy. It was like, this was romance to me. This was family and this was romance.
There you go. Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
And I loved Vivian Blaine since I was a child too.
Oh, there you go.
Obviously.
Right on. You're from a very musical family too. So
yes.
Kerri, how about you?
I definitely saw it as a kid, the same, that ilk of Oklahoma and Carousel and seeing all of those. And then before I saw, as an adult, I saw Grand Night for Singing.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Yes. So that's when I was like, oh, right. There's all of these great songs that came from State Fair. And because, knowing musical theater, even if you don't know a Rogers and Hammerstein song, it feels familiar. It's like putting on a shirt by your favorite designer, right? It just, you feel comfortable. It feels like you're like, yeah, I get this. And then of course, and I'm sure I rewatched the movie again in college in some sort of musical theater history class. And then of course, Jimmy and I went to see the show. So I by the way, just rewatched all of them on the getting ready for this experience.
Same.
Just, to refresh. Well, some of them I watch and some of them I listen to. Yeah. And it's like they wanted Oklahoma, but like not so gritty, right? Or a little like an Oklahoma light, and then they also wanted Carousel, but like not dark, abusive. Not
about
no murders. All murders out.
No deadbeat dad, out of wedlock child. That kind of thing.
They sort of like created sort of like a diet version of
That's a good way to put
Carousel.
Like Carousel.
It's there, and there are all the elements, and like, but something's missing, and maybe it's like real fat, but you're not really but there's a lot of sugar added in, so it almost tastes the same. That's my feeling about State Fair.
So you're saying basically that like Carousel was the mincemeat, and State Fair is after the brandy,
sour,
sour pickles,
sour pickles.
Yes, if we're going with that, yes, absolutely.
Nice. All right. So as opens up on the song, "Our State Fair is a great state fair," and I saw these interviews or these sort of documentary type things with Rogers and Hammerstein talking about the songs, and they're like, it's like, hey, it's an open song. It's 16 measures long and only 4 phrases, but it's a bouncy ditty that sounds like a song that's always been around.
Now I want to. Yes.
So like when I first heard you, like I've heard this before, but I haven't.
Now, so I want to jump. Okay, and you guys being actual, theater performers and actually knowing all about this stuff, I yield to, the knowledge and that we have assembled for this panel. I will say, Rogers and Hammerstein wrote some duds. Also, Allegro, Pipe Dream, Me and Julia. Just so you know, I mean, it wasn't just, the 5 greatest musicals of all times. So I just got the feeling, like from the opening bar for me, okay, like when you write a lyric like it's dollars to donuts that our state fair is the best state fair in our state, it's a little ironic. It's a little on the nose. It's a little bit like, I'm not sure I like this pig story.
Don't agree at all.
Okay.
Don't agree at all.
Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Yeah, I think it adds to it is like Kerri said, it's a lighter show, it's a lighter thing, it's a bouncy, like he literally says it's a bouncy ditty.
Okay. All right.
And like the pig sings in the opening number. The pig sings. They put the camera on the page like along with like.
Wow. Well, they're getting you totally prepared for. Yeah. They're building that excitement that this is all they're thinking about right now.
Yeah.
They're the entire town, the entire state. All they are doing is getting ready for this exciting week of state fair.
Yep.
And so they are just letting you know right away, like, we are pumped.
Yeah. The Frakes farm, everyone's going out for it. It's like, of course, the dad with Blue Boy's the big pig. He's going to enter in the contest. And that's the whole idea. They're going to the state fair. He's entering, Pa Frake is entering Blue Boy, this giant big fat hog, into the contest for the best big fat hog, whatever the prize is. And then Melissa Frake, is doing there's a mincemeat competition and a sour pickle competition. So she's preparing that. And then the kids go along, who I'm guessing are supposed to be 18 years old or something like that, even though
I think Margie's supposed to be 18, and I think possibly brother maybe went to college, so I think he's probably 20, 21.
He did kind of have a college shirt on that first scene.
Yeah,
right.
I think he's like back home, and he's kind of finished. Yeah.
And that's Dick Hames, and Margie is Jeanne Crain, and Dick Hames is Wayne. And what's great about Dick Hames is and I agree. I saw this, somebody wrote this somewhere, and I agree. He looks like he's playing Dick Hames. He doesn't look like he's a farm boy at all.
His clothes are impeccable.
Yeah. I'll give Pat Boone in 62. He looked like he could be a farm boy, but
he's the most metrosexual.
Yeah, totally. In fact, I didn't even realize that it was when he goes to. I know we're jumping again, but when he goes to the fair for his revenge on the Barker, he's all dressed up and
everybody is.
I know, but I didn't even realize that was him. Okay, I was like, oh, which guy is that? Is that they're all wearing hats?
Hilarious.
Yeah.
So he's not much of a farm boy. For sure.
I think he left and went to college and became sophisticated
there you
or
go.
something. That's what I had to think.
I think he was always like that.
Yeah.
I got to get off this farm. See,
Erin, I like that through line. That's that's good. That's good because I never went that far. I was like, I don't know. It's just
and you know what? I might be thinking too much into it. It's just that I'm like, there has to be a reason they dressed, because if you think any costume designer, they in their mind create whatever stories not written on the page sometimes. And so that's what I think it is. I'm like, oh, he had to. Why else would he dress so different than everybody else?
Right.
But Erin, you mentioned Jeanne Crain's dresses. Her wardrobe was amazing. What a beautiful color palette.
Oh my God.
That
was
style,
stunning.
that whole 40s style.
Yes, I love it.
That fits me like that. I want to wear dresses like that.
Well, they
nailed. I want to wear suits like that too.
And they nailed and I know, as I'm going to nerd out, I'm sorry, but the major big trends that now a lot of girls bring back of the crushed deep burgundy velvet and the cherries, and then the whole it got really
giant cherry thing.
Cherry dress with the cherry hat.
The cherry hat.
I'm telling you, in vintage stores, you can find big pins of cherries and things. It was a huge trend.
Oh, yeah, I have some of those.
Cherries.
Yeah,
actually.
and then also it got really into Mexican style, very peasanty. And so the fact that was that, I was like, the costume designer on this was on point.
Nice.
Super on trend
except for Dick Hames, but
no, he looked totally on point. It just wasn't totally
he probably was like, I'm gonna dress like this. They're like, all right, we need.
He probably brought his own wardrobe.
Yeah. But speaking of voices, so of course Dick Hames, well-known crooner, he sang. But Jeanne Crain did not sing. She was not a singer at all. Her singer was Luann Hogan. But what's very funny is that people loved Jeanne Crain in this so much that she started getting typecast in musicals.
Isn't it funny?
So Fox just put Hogan under contract to be her voice to dub for all these films.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah, so she opens up with "It Might As Well Be Spring," or Luann does, and this is the other interesting note Rogers and Hammerstein talked about. They go, we wrote "It Might As Well Be Spring" because he realized state fairs are in autumn, because he originally wanted her to be like, I have spring fever, but then he's like, well, she can't have spring fever because the state fair is in autumn.
Nice.
So I love little things like this in songs, the little melodies and lyric things. He talks about how jumpy as a puppet on a string. He wrote that because that's why the melody jumps. Because jumpy as a puppet on a string, so it jumps up and down. That I'm like, that is brilliant. I love it. He talks about how the music and words must interpret each other, and I thought that was.
It's interesting that you're talking about that, because I specifically remember a part of when I was in conservatory in school. This song and that moment was discussed about vocal interpretation and how to understand why someone wrote what they wrote and how you're supposed to sing it. And that we watched videos of multiple people doing it to understand why and how. And I remember it so clearly because I was like, oh my God, of course.
Well, I gave such a terrible version of it. You want to give us that line real quick, Erin?
Oh God, what is it?
Jumpy as a puppet on a string.
I'm as jumpy as a puppet on a string.
Yeah, that's it. Well done. Nice. Yeah, and it's such a beautiful song. But it is Margie's clearly melancholy and not very happy, and we find out pretty quickly why.
Dud of a boyfriend.
Her dud of a boyfriend.
It sort of that part oddly resonated with me because I remember
your dud boyfriends.
Young, well, yes, and that kind of like wistful, like you're young and you're just dreaming of what things could be like and the possibilities. And I rewatching and I was like, oh right, that's and it was a simple time, and that's the highlight of a girl's life was finding a man. Like
she also hadn't traveled, she hasn't been anywhere,
right?
So she is in love or with the high school sweetheart who she's like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do, but he's kind of boring. But that's it might be okay. It's that sort of like.
I mean, I think watching this and thinking about the fair. I mean, it's true. State fairs are a big deal. They're even now still a big deal. I mean, people go to them and have a great time. But back when this, the movie was coming out, and at the end of World War II, as we shifted from an agrarian society to the military-industrial complex, I mean, it's like going to Comic-Con for us, literally. Like going to this, and that's why I say I really related to this movie. Absolutely. It's like, and I mean, the cast is fantastic in this movie, and it's totally charming. I don't mean to put it down. Okay. There's so much to really enjoy about this film. And I loved the parents, their interplay, the father's love of his pig, the mother's love of her pickles and pigs. And, but I mean, that is the idea, Margie's restless. She's restless. She's on a farm. She wants more in her life. And, and the springtime, I mean, it's a great song, and it's a great, I wish song.
It's the I want song.
I want, yes, the I want song. Right.
Well, there's a great moment at the end when she does. I skipped a little bit. We'll go back to it in a second. But when she sings with her boyfriend Harry, and she sort of sings a sarcastic version of it, and then there's a sort of reminiscent version where she goes, where she mentions Ronald Colman, Charles Boyer.
Oh yes.
Now they had to get written permission from all three of them to use impersonations of their voices.
Isn't that funny? Because it's likeness.
Oh, because it's likeness. Yeah, because it wasn't their real voices. They had to get permission just to do that. But yeah, she has a great line there too, where she really lets her know where Harry sees a pig, biggest boar in the world, I bet. And Margie's like, well, depends on how you spell it. I'm like,
that was great. That was
my favorite.
Done, Margie.
It's a great line.
It's she's walking. It all depends on how you spell it. It's so like.
Love it. I love it. But meanwhile, we get the neighbor, Dick Dave, I call him. He's a giant dick, who is just like you're gonna have a terrible time and everything's gonna go
Debbie
wrong.
Downer.
You're not gonna win, and I'll bet you $5, which in today's world is like $75. Which I was like, that's a big bet. Holy shit! And it's like, but it's like a weird bet because it's like he adds so much on it. Okay, you're gonna have a terrible time. No one's gonna be good. You're gonna lose. Melissa's gonna lose. You have to only have one Coke a day. You can't eat mac and cheese. I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, quit laying all the shit on the bet there. But it's pretty amazing. So then we get to the mincemeat thing, and then we're in the kitchen, and Erin and I were talking about this the other day. Like we both cook.
My dream.
Love it. I found myself on the third rewatch just checking every bit of appliance. I'm like, look at those old appliances. Those are amazing. Look at those. Oh, look at that old jar. She's putting the mincemeat in.
Pickling Crocs.
Yeah, pickling. Yeah.
If I go to a flea market, that's my dream. I'm like, how much? How much for the Crocs? Because when I was a kid, I loved that scene so much. Maybe that's why I became a pickler and pie maker. I don't know. But you never know what seeps in when you're little. Yeah. But it's funny. I'm going to give a little personal note here. I actually entered one of my pies in a pie contest at a fair.
Yeah.
And I also won a blue ribbon.
Yeah.
And when I tell you how famous you are in that moment, in that space, I it's like, it's all happening. It's coming true. Like, it was a dream come true. I was on the radio in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, I was the town star. I was like,
oh my God. That
so
is awesome.
I relate very much to her, like prep and freaking out and like try, because the person I beat, it's the same similar thing. Had won 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Wow, you were the giant killer, Erin.
I came in, I swept in, and then it was like I got side eye from the person for like a good 2 hours. And then comes up to me, it's like, what did you put in that? And it was I was like, I did it.
You're like, lots of brandy.
I felt like I was, in State Fair for sure. I was like,
what type of pie was it? What type of pie was it?
It was my I can now call it my blue ribbon winning blueberry rhubarb pie.
Ooh.
Okay, well, I'll send you my address, and if you can like mail it to me, I will take it.
Tabletop pie.
When rhubarb is in season and it's not under 7 feet of snow. Yes.
Excellent. So we get the whole mincemeat joke, which adds to it later on, where it has to have mincemeat in the recipe, or the brandy in the recipe, because that's what Grandma Stitches tastes like. And Melissa, the wife's like, I'm not putting brandy in. So Pa sneaks it in. Then she finally decides to put it in, not knowing he did it. So it's got double the brandy, which is great.
Her inner struggle to put booze in it is the cutest thing.
Right?
Oh
like,
God.
this is
she's like,
oh, I can't do it.
She's like, she can't bring herself to do it, and then she does it. It's great.
And the popping of the cork, like that was it was so amazing. So in the Broadway show that we saw in 96. So Catherine Crosby played the Melissa, right?
Oh wow.
And John Davidson was Pa, yeah.
So, and this, I have this weird memory. Yes.
Yeah.
And I had this super weird memory, and I had heard, because I had friends in the cast who told me that Catherine, and what I say is hilariously like, doesn't mean anything today. But at the time it was like, what? I've never even heard of this. Apparently she didn't have a sense of smell.
Oh.
And like now, of course, with people losing a sense of smell means a very different thing these days.
Yeah.
But that, I just remember my friend telling me, oh yeah, and it's really weird, and she doesn't have the sense of smell. And I really just thought, Jimmy, I had a nice memory of you, like when she's in the kitchen making the thing and like pretending to taste it, and I'm like, in real life she can't smell shit. I don't know. And then so all of this just comes flooding back to me.
Oh, that's awesome. Aww. Yeah, so I have a little theory about our son brother Wayne. He's kind of a dick, a little bit. Wayne, because he gets on the phone with his girlfriend, who is smoking hot, Eleanor. I'm like, holy shit, Eleanor's smoking.
Yes. And she can't go to the fair with him.
She can't go to the fair because her mother's sick.
Her
and he's like,
sick.
Well, your mom's sick, you can't go.
Yeah,
but I had plans.
He's like, we have big plans. Yeah, exactly. We have big plans.
Go find some fast woman at the fair that I can have an affair with.
Yeah,
clearly. Date affair.
Yeah, it was so. I was like, wow, what a kind of a jerk.
Yeah. Well, can I just throw in here, like, emotions are easy come, easy go in this movie. I mean, everybody falls in love and out of love very, very fast.
Yeah.
It's
a musical.
Why else go to the fair?
Yeah. Listen, I had things happen in the Tilt-A-Whirl myself.
I mean, I don't know about you, but if the fair came to town on a Friday night, you found a cute person from another school, and you were like, yeah, we're gonna get married now.
We had fairs at our church, and let me tell you what, the Catholic schoolgirl that I ended up going out with later, we hooked up at the fair. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, so so we all know what happens when you go to the fair. Is that what we're okay?
It's the time of your life.
Yeah, you get handsy. Well, speaking of handsy. So Wayne goes and gets his revenge on the Barker. And anybody recognize the Barker?
Of course.
Do the voice right away, Colonel Potter.
Yeah.
Harry Morgan. Oh my God. So
we're having fun here.
Oh, he's so good. He's like, this is great fun.
Yeah.
Look how much fun.
So he gets on. Then here comes our Emily Edwards, who, funny enough, I have a good friend named Emily Edwards who's done the podcast with us. And I asked her, I go, did your parents name you? She goes, no, I was named after Emily Dixon, but I don't think they, knew much about her. I was like, are you sure they just didn't secretly name you after this? They saw it because I don't think so. I'm like, I think so. It's my theory. So Emily Edwards is a sort of like circuit singer, but she's kind of well known, I guess. But he doesn't know that. So she comes in and thinks, there's a cute boy. Let me go save him. And
cute farm boy, what
exactly.
every touring musician is looking for.
Well,
she's like any port in a storm.
See, I don't think that. I think she's been around the block. I think she plays a lot of this stuff, and she saw the guy being a total scammer. Yeah. And so she just popped in to be like, stop being a jerk. Don't do it to this nice kid. Like, I think she was like, she's been around the block, and she saw him like being smarmy. Like she's a lady of the world.
All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right.
It just so happens he ends up being cute. She was flirting, but she was like, bye, little boy, little farm boy.
Right away, they go and walk off. He immediately is like, Eleanor, who? Hey, want to get a drink? Want to get some popcorn? I mean, I'm like, what? Are you what?
Hey,
I mean, we've all done
That's
it, I guess.
Hey, what happened?
I mean, no, you're right. I've had it happen both ways, where I was a jerk or the jerky. Wait, that sounds weird. But
right. And Heidi, what you're probably gonna say?
Oh, I don't know. Go on.
What happens at the fair stays at the fair, right? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, so
I mean, look, I just want to like the family again. I do love what I loved about this is they set off with their Airstream trailer and the pig and
vintage camping at its best.
Yes.
I'm here for it.
Cool, right?
That setup was. I was like,
that was like a fancy like restaurant setup. Yeah.
Cute little family at a trailer with a pig. Oh, it's so cute. And I mean, again, it's like Comic-Con. It's like, like, because this is what you did when you were part of the fair. You traveled. There was a trailer park. You camped, and the state fair lasts for a week, sometimes 2 weeks. So you might. They might have stayed longer, but everybody found a mate. So it was, and our
forgot to mention, of course, Emily Edwards is Vivian Blaine.
Yes,
who's a well-known singer, also
iconic.
Who can
carry she's amazing.
So
and
we
Donna
get
McKechnie in the Broadway show.
And Donna McKechnie. Yeah,
I thought that was a good one for one.
Yes, but also Margie in the Broadway show, Andrew McArdle, the original Little Annie, who grew up and she went on to do a lot of musical theater her whole life.
She was Margie?
Yeah.
Yes.
She was a little older. She was like 30 at the time, maybe. I don't know, like that. But
Margie was staying on the farm. No wonder
I just don't see her usually as the I've seen her stuff as an adult now, but as like ingenue. She's a little brassy, like broad.
There is a moment in the song where she's like, "I'm just a girl with a," and it comes across like, "Whoa, calm down." So I know what you mean. Yeah. I liked her, but I know what you mean. Yeah. So Wade immediately, forgets about his girl back home, starts macking on Emily. Margie apparently was really timid about the roller coaster. Like, I'm gonna do it. I gotta get some courage. Let me try it. So she decides to do the roller coaster and ends up having to sit next to this guy. And then she does what, you always do on a fucking you stand up on a roller coaster?
Right? No.
She stood up on a roller coaster. Where's the safety bar?
I know, but they rode to the fair in the back of a truck. Like,
I love that. I love that.
There's no safety. There's no safety concerns.
There weren't even seatbelts then.
They were on a hill, and she stands up. I was like, she'd be dead. She'd be dead or seriously injured.
Well, luckily she was sitting next to Dana Andrews, and he saved her
Dana
life.
Andrews, who, funny enough, his voice was also dubbed over singing, but he was a singer.
Yeah.
He could care, but something with the studio, they didn't know, and he didn't tell them. So they just sort of, we have a singer for you. He didn't want to like I guess, rock the boat. So he was like, all right, I guess you got a singer for me. And then later on, they're like, oh, you sing? He's like, yeah. They're like, oh, okay. So he unfortunately had somebody singing for him, which he could have done his own part. But yeah, so he's this reporter, this sort of, first he was like, he's kind of a smarmy reporter, but he does have some charm to him. Like in the 62 version, Bobby Darin is like fucking a molester.
Oh my God!
Like date raper. Yeah, it's like.
Oh my God! That movie. The 62 version is deeply uncomfortable.
Gross. He's so gross.
Deeply uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's a song in there. There's a song in there. The mom sings to the daughter called something about like women don't say no.
No, it says never say no.
Never say no to a man. Yeah.
Just don't say yes, but don't say no.
What are you talking about? No.
Oh, it's horrifying.
I think this is why I tend to lean towards the 45 version more because we don't have any songs that get in the way of I need to tell you a story. Here, sit down, child. Let me tell you about what you should do in this world. We don't have any of that. Yeah. It's like it's big group numbers. It's sweet little like kind of numbers. There's none of that like kind of stuff that we expect in most musicals. Yeah. Of let me, sit and sing you this romantic song. The romantic song is like performed for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Well, I loved about also Dan Andrews' character is that like he says he's a reporter. Who knew reporters were such ladies' men? Like all the girls knew him. He's all like, hey, he's like, take it easy, you. It was like so fun. I'm like,
I actually
him a long time ago.
Reporters about Clark Kent. Everybody loved Clark Kent.
Thank you, Kerri. Thank you, Kerri. Like, yeah, Clark Kent, Lois Lane. The reporter was actually a wish fulfillment kind of a, believe it or not,
right.
At this time, it was actually a fairly glamorous position. Nice. I was disturbed by, there's quite an age difference there, and now to today's sensibility.
Well, she was, I think, in the movie. I think Jeanne Crain was 20 at the time, and he was like 33, 32.
Yeah, so it's a little weird, but
yeah.
Whatever. It's the fair.
It's a fair. But also, I wonder if this is the first movie that maybe not, but maybe have had product placement. There sure was a lot of Coca-Cola everywhere. They mentioned it several times. They showed glasses that said Coca-Cola. How about we go get a Coca-Cola? How about we get a Coke?
Oh my God, they had these little tiny glasses of Coke. Mm-hmm. The portion.
And they didn't finish them. Who doesn't finish their Coca-Cola?
Come on.
I was like, they left like half thing. I was like, who doesn't finish that? If that's like the one treat you're getting, you suck that down, then go take a ride.
Yeah.
Didn't they actually have cocaine in them back at that time?
Yeah, that's true.
They got their bump and they were done.
It's true.
You might be correct.
Well, we have all the pieces in place. We have, Margie and her dashing reporter, or intriguing reporter, and Wayne and this vivacious Emily and the wonders of the fair. It's the perfect place for romance to bloom. They're like, let's go on the Midway. Let's go eat some food on a stick. It's amazing. And then the parents are having their own, adventures with their pig and their pickles.
Poor Blue Boy is despondent.
Oh, Blue
Boy's like laying down, like, what's going on?
My favorite scene in the whole.
But then Blue Boy, just like any healthy pig, sees this cute little.
He gets all ready to go with his
sees this cute little Esmeralda shows up, and he's always like, oh, yeah,
telling you,
what's up?
Everyone found love at the fair.
Yeah,
Everyone.
Exactly. Yes, it's true.
But why was he depressed? It was never really resolved for me. Like, why is he depressed?
Yeah, it's true. True, fair enough.
Because
he wasn't home. He was homesick.
Because he was jumpy like a puppet on a string. It might as well be spring. He felt the same thing Margie felt.
That's true. We do have a great moment though, because earlier when Emily saved the day, she told the Barkers she was the police chief's daughter. So this sets up a great joke later.
Jinx and Sue.
It's so great where Wayne is like looking for the police. There's chief police over there. He's like, oh, I'm gonna date with your daughter. He's like, what? And then he immediately knows it's someone who's played a joke. I'm like, come here, and it's this cute little 10-year-old girl, 8-year-old girl, with her cotton candy, or something, whatever she has in her mouth, and it's like, and he's like, here she is. And he's like, I think someone was pulling your leg, son. He's like, yeah, joke's on me. So he goes into the show, and who's up there singing but our Emily Edwards.
But then the little girl is standing there watching him, like really creepily eating.
Yeah.
That's not creep anybody else out. She's like,
no. She's like, we're married now.
Yeah, exactly. You said we had a date. Daddy said you're mine. He'll lock you up. But what a great song Emily sings, though. It's like, also, it's kind of like an owner, like she sings "That's for Me," which is a great song. But it's like, but she's like looking at him the whole time. That's for me. He's just like, You're mine tonight, baby. What's up? I'm like, damn, she knows what she wants. Like Erin said, she's a lady of the world.
She's a lady of the world.
Of course,
She's seen a lot of state fairs.
Yeah, she and Wayne have a little drink, a little dance, and what girlfriend back home, of course. And then this was a funny number to me. I love, obviously, great night for singing, great number, but it's not done like your normal musical number. It's done where the band starts singing it, and apparently in the world of State Fair, it's a giant hit because everybody knew it.
Yes.
The entire fair started singing it, but not as a musical number, just sort of out loud, which I thought was really strange. I was like, oh, that's a weird choice. But then Wayne gets a little solo. Well, look at you, a little Glee Club action. I was like, okay. But I thought that was a strange choice, and they made it more within the, you know what I mean? Where it wasn't a musical number.
I feel like they tried to make it as if it was on the radio. Like it was a hit
right, yes,
that everybody knew.
Yeah, right, yep.
And that was a familiar song, so everyone would sing along like they would with any other band that's playing.
But they should have had 2 or 3 people going like, it's a and stars are shining. Because you never know all the words. Come on. Falling in love. Like that. But yeah, our boy Wayne can sing, and you can see her face. She's like, oh, and she's getting a little more.
This farm boy has potential.
That is for me, yes. Grand night for something. But then we go over to Ma's big contest. Like this all is happening in one night.
It's like Comic-Con. It's all busy. It's like it's crammed with events.
The whole weekend. So Ma's big contest is judges, are tasting the pickles, and she wins a little pickle award. But then
the pickle tasting. Excuse me. The pickle tasting.
The spray in the mouth. So like in between. Yeah. I also love that it is dead silent.
Oh yeah.
Like there is a pin could drop because these ladies are serious. And when they start to make an announcement, they're like, quiet, please. And no one's talking because they're like, just tell us who won. Please tell us who won.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
and Margie and Ma are there. They get to the mincemeat. And of course, because it's double brandied up, they're digging in.
Oh yeah. They're like
the one old judge like going back to it, getting liquored up on it. And then of course she ends up winning because
but she also wins a special plaque. Like they are so impressed by the amount of alcohol.
He says what? The most delectable, most delightful.
Yep.
Yeah.
So true.
Which is amazing.
So true. But yeah.
Who's had mincemeat? Has everyone had mincemeat?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Great.
It's not great, unless it's got a lot of brandy in it. But
yeah.
It's one of those things
that
you make from necessity. You got some scraps of meat, some scraps of fruit. Let's put it all together in a pie.
Yeah.
And drink a lot so we forget what we're eating.
I usually have mince pies at Christmas because Anglophile.
Yes.
So yeah.
Of course. Gotta have that. That's the Christmas pie for sure.
I had mincemeat pie, shoe fly pie, and Pennsylvania Dutch country.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice.
My husband sort of family has like a French Canadian roots, and they make something they call meat pies.
Yes, I know French meat pies.
Yeah. So but it's not. I've had French meat pies. These like the French Canadian meat pie, not quite as spectacular. What's the French word for that? Like the Coteleur or something. Sorry, not a French speaker.
No.
But this meat pie is just it's just pork, and it is bland.
Put it. Oh, okay. I was like,
no, it's not like good like pulled pork. It's just like the blandest white meat put in a pie shell, and I'm like, oh, people are so white.
Well, the British have great meat pies. Like they have all sorts of meat pie, steak and mushroom.
It's one thing the English were good at was their pie.
The meat pies, yes. I love those.
Or I'm gonna eat a meat pie. Like I'm gonna have an empanada. Like that. You know what I mean? That's
sure.
The meat pie
Fair
I
enough.
want. But
I'll
try her meat pie.
Calzone, whatever.
It's interesting because we are talking about where this takes place is like post-war, and a lot of the reason why mincemeat in the first place, if you go back to like olden times of when it was because it's basically preserving meat for a year.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so like, oh, way to do that. Let's throw lard and fat and booze in it. And and it's going to preserve this meat and then for a year, we're gonna add the fruit to keep it sugar so it doesn't taste like crap. Like it's basically what it is. But it makes sense. But it also makes sense post-war because it was like there was rationing. So it makes sense why it kind of came back a little bit more during certain times. I think it has like a flux in like history with food.
All right.
Yeah, luckily
that's me being a food
no,
nerd.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, pickles, you know, I mean, the fair was a place to test the things that you made to store, you know, or you know what you grew, what you were able to make, you know, and I mean, when I used to go to the Pomona the Pomona Fair in California, which it was huge. It was a huge, enormous fair. I went with my family, my parents, and you know, we loved, you know, you go look at the animals. I mean, it's fantastic. But our favorite every year was the table setting competition because the judges' notes. So it was like you go.
Sorry, what?
The table.
There's a table set.
Yeah, table setting.
Want to enter that?
Yeah,
so
right.
Bad.
And you know, they'd have a centerpiece, but then they left the judges' notes there. And it was the only, you know, why did the pig win? Why did that? Whatever, but they lived, you know, fork is on wrong side, color scheme is insipid.
I had that happen at a dance competition. Where I was in Mr. Dance of Florida, and I did a hip hop number, and my friends and I knew I wasn't gonna win because I just started taking. I could dance, but I'd never really taken dance for that year or two before, and I got second runner up, but there were only 3 of us. So it was last. But my friend knew one of the judges and got the judge's card, and I wear this like a badge of honor. They said why I didn't win? Too street.
That is
hip hop number, hip hop, because I didn't have enough technique in it. I was too much.
That is an honor.
I was like, word, I'll take it.
Wow.
So back to the fair. Back to the fair. We found love. So Emily and Wayne get cozy. Margie and Pat kiss at the racetrack. You know, true love at the racetrack. And then Emily's got her show. This song plugger guy shows up who's got to like plug the song. Somehow convinces Wayne to take the song. He really likes it to this party. So Emily's throwing a party.
Yeah, the after. Now
the after party.
Wayne,
yeah.
The farm boy is moving up in the world. Now
yeah,
he's
going to the after party.
With
he gets to go to the cast party. Heck yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
It's like all the rock stars.
Very fancy for a fair cast party. It was very upscale.
Yeah.
Her gown.
Yeah, they're like that hotel room.
Gown.
Yeah, that hotel room was like the penthouse. I was like, well, there's a piano in there. It's like, what?
Well, that's what isn't that what show people always do when they get together?
Sure.
They have a piano and they sing, right?
Well,
yes,
but it's not in the penthouse.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, it's usually like
it's in someone's studio in Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, and there's 30 of us packed in there.
Yeah,
with the windows open during winter because it's so hot.
Yes, when you're an actor and you'd like travel around to do different regional theater and stuff, and the state fair is in the town that you're performing in, they'll often say, "Hey, will you come sing at the state fair?" So I've done 2 state fairs.
Amazing.
Ooh, fancy.
Which
yeah,
ones?
except my dressing room was not the penthouse. It was like a trailer, like a trailer, literally, but not a fancy movie trailer. Like somebody borrowed somebody's like one that, that we can drag behind a truck kind of thing.
Nice.
Sounds right.
And the highlight was I was doing a production of Evita in Nashville. So I got to go to the Tennessee State Fair.
Yeah.
And it was this really big deal. And they're like, okay, Kerri, you're going to get up and you're going to sing. And I met, I think I met the mayor of Nashville on the way. And I was like, oh, thank you so much for welcoming us to your town. This is lovely. And he's like, if you lived here, you'd be home now. That's what he said to me.
Oh my God. Wow.
It's like a bumper sticker slogan to you. Like,
and I don't know if that was the platform that he was running on or whatever.
Must have been, yes.
So,
if you vote for me, you'll be home now.
Petitioning that to be the sign as you exit the town. Yes. Like he thought of a campaign. Jesus.
Wow.
So I get on like this little stage, outside little stage, a guy's playing like a keyboard for me and I'm singing and like somebody's dog literally got up on stage and walked across in front of me while I was singing.
Were you singing Don't Cry For Me, Argentina?
Yes.
Amazing.
Wow. So you are our Emily Edwards.
Nice. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, we never got to sing the state fair, but we did a couple of like national anthems at baseball games, our cast of like The King and I or whatever, Superstar. So that was kind of fun. But yeah. Certainly didn't get any box seats, that's for sure.
It's never fancy though. Ever.
No, it's not. So they're at the party, and Wayne's already feeling a little uneasy because he doesn't know these people. And Marty, the sort of band leader, is being a giant dick to him the whole time. Just picking on him, like, farmer, what you got? She says you can sing. What do you got, huh? So he pulls out the song and he starts singing. Everybody likes it. It's really cool. But then Marty's just keeps being a jerk to him. So Wayne socks it to him.
Like you do.
Yeah.
I feel
but the song,
you just punch them.
But the song is "Isn't It Kind of Fun," which is really sweet. Isn't it kind of fun?
I love this song.
I do too.
That's a great song.
However, in the 62 version, what the fuck happened? It's Anne Margaret doing a sexy version of it. You're like, I love Anne Margaret, but this does not fit in at all. It's like, what are you talking about? It's like this.
No.
Holy
absolutely
crap,
not.
no.
Well, also, Anne Margaret is a pretty good dancer.
Oh, she's an amazing dancer.
Yeah, but her singing voice is, she can carry a tune. But
I prefer her as I prefer as Anne Marg Rock on the
yes.
Give me her and Elvis Presley in a movie any day.
Well,
like shimmy your way across that stage and bump and grind, but get out of State Fair.
Because in the 62 version is in Texas, and Wayne is like a race car driver, so it's kind of like the Elvis movie she did, right? Like Viva Las Vegas a little bit. So,
it didn't make sense. I'm sorry, it didn't make sense because it's State Fair in Texas in 62, right?
Yeah.
The movie's in 62.
Yeah.
Filmed in 62.
Yes.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Just too much sexy that didn't.
Yeah. So because I'm gonna have to bounce out of this a little early, unfortunately for the first time. But so just to talk about the 62 version, because on paper it's got an incredible cast.
Sure.
Pat Boone, Bobby Darin, Anne Margaret.
Fans of all of them.
And the parents are Tom Ewell and what's the name of the actress who came back?
Who was actually up for the original?
Right, the
movie,
original.
the 45 movie.
Alice Faye.
Alice Faye,
yep.
A legend, a legendary, and then what's her name? Tiffin, the least known as Margie.
Yeah.
But I mean, hello, this is an all-star cast, and it was very much billed as an all-star cast, and yet somehow
did not do
well. Wah. And it's almost in many cases a line for line remake of the original, but it's like you say, Bobby Darin,
smarmy,
just
Creepville.
as creepy as can possibly be.
Forces kisses on her,
and
slips her liquor.
And
she's clearly underage.
Right. Just to be clear, though, he's closer to her age. I mean, he's actually only 26. So he's like, he's a young, creepy guy in this movie. Pat Boone, obviously famous for being straight-laced, with his shirt off half the time.
Looked great. I was like, I forgot.
His father strips him down to his underpants and puts him in bed.
If you could be caught on film in the prime of your life looking gorgeous, do it.
Well, exactly.
Get that on tape.
But he wouldn't kiss anyone on screen because his wife didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But and also directed by the great musical director Jose Ferrer.
Yeah.
To Rosemary Clooney. Let's be honest. And so obviously he appreciated the musical arts. But
he got panned wide. They all got panned widely. I think Pat Boone was the only one that got good reviews. Everyone else got panned pretty badly, and even including Jose.
Yeah. So I mean, honestly, on paper, it was fascinating to watch because it has three huge musical stars in it, and Alice Faye and Tom Ewell are quite funny as the parents, but it's like everything became cynical.
Rogers wrote new lyrics and new songs for it because Hammerstein had already died by then.
Yeah.
But it should be put as an example of a show when you rip the heart out of it.
Yeah.
What do you have left?
Yeah, it's also too long. Yeah.
when you take the goodness and the heart out of the story, what are you left with? Of course, it's going to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And because it was just like no. But yeah, it didn't do well. This 45 got good reviews, but this one 62
as it should
widely panned.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So in the 45, after It's Kind of Fun, he storms out after this fight. Emily chased him down and is like, "Listen, I'm gonna get rid of everybody if you want to come back later, so we can,
practice our show tunes."
But here's what's interesting. according to the Breen office, which was of course part of the motion picture censorship board thing, they had these stipulations that due to the inescapable suggestion of an illicit sex affair between Emily and Wayne, they rejected the script twice because of that illicit thing. So during a conference, they said it was agreed that there would be no suggestion of any sex affair between Emily and Wayne from the reaction of either of those or from the father, which I guess he may be supposed to comment on it later or whatever like that. But like, I feel like it was pretty suggested that she was like, come back and get some.
100%.
100%.
So how they got away with that, I don't know.
I guess they just ignored the Haynes Bureau.
They're like, oh well, he's just coming back and they're just gonna talk.
Yeah. Well, it's too late to walk back to the trailer. I'll just sleep here.
Or maybe there was a scene that was where he does go back and you see maybe that, who knows, but maybe that was that, or like they show him going back. I don't know, so whatever. So I was like, all right. So we get Pat and Margie seem to be falling, and Pat's even kind of like, ladies' baby's kind of like, I think I really, I'm feeling. And he comes across very charming, and he seems to genuinely dig her. So that's kind of sweet. We get the hog contest. Of course, Blue Boy wins after almost failing.
Now, you guys, this hog contest was probably the most suspenseful scene of any film that we've covered here on Comic Beat Insider, and I'm hardly even
like a Hitchcock film.
It was like a Hitchcock film because in the arena, Blue Boy's lady love is taken away, and he immediately loses his heart away.
Esmeralda goes as where'd she go?
And he flops down again. And I mean, how do you get this 500
pound?
I
feel you, Blue Boy.
This 500-pound hog, and the family's going, what is going to happen? And then whatever her name is, Bessie,
Esmeralda.
And then
he's like, woo,
that hog is up and at him.
Yep. He's like, I'm ready.
Brown as a peacock, with his parts swinging in the wind.
He's ready.
With his ham hock swinging. Yep.
Yeah.
So they win, which is great. Like, just like Charles Winniger, so great as Pa. He's like genuinely crying almost.
It's the best moment of his life. You feel it. It's the best. Great. He's been working for this forever.
So sweet. Yeah.
You feel it, the pride in him that he did it, the pride in his family. I mean, I get a little misty looking at it. It's so overwhelming.
Somebody's phone is going off. It's so
alarm.
I was like, somebody's phone.
Sorry.
But then we get to the number that makes no sense, but it's all right. All I owe, I away. And then it goes, and I know all I owe away.
Well,
so
it's
I owe away all I know, and I know why.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Well, so I was the curious,
idea did they ever actually call it that I away? So I was curious. So my good friend Michael,
it doesn't make sense.
Michael
like
Emerson is from Iowa.
Yeah.
Well, so Michael's from Iowa, and I was that ever a saying in Iowa that did, like, maybe your parents or older people like, I'm from Iowa? He's like, no. He was like, it's a pronunciation you only hear in Broadway musicals because everyone here says Iowa. And I was like, okay, I wasn't sure. I thought maybe it might have been one of those like homey regional things, like, I'm from Iowa, but nope, they just made it up for the song to make it rhyme, I guess, to make it sound snappy and cool. So, which is fine.
I think they were trying to get the same success that they did with Oklahoma.
Yes.
Because my husband's from Oklahoma, and the entire state has embraced every single song from that musical if it's their state song. It is played at every college football game, every basketball game. Mm-hmm. It's my favorite thing to go see sporting events, because I'm like, I get musical theater and sports.
Especially when they do Poor
I'm like
Judd
the marching
Dead.
band. I'm telling you, I saw an entire halftime show and they played all selections of Oklahoma. And I was like, this is the best sporting event I've ever been to. I get a Broadway musical and yet this is great. So I think that they were trying definitely to they're like, maybe Iowa will embrace us and do the same thing. And they were trying to do another state song, but
I was like, we don't pronounce it that way.
They were like, we're not bumpkins. No.
So
but
not
I
quite
love
as
it.
catchy, but still, I think it's charming.
I love it.
I
I
love
think
it.
it's too. I mean, it might do. I think it is actually is catchy, but yeah, it's super
I
fun.
what's it? I wait for her corn and
Yes.
her beef and her ham and her strawberry jam and her pie.
I can look it up. Let's see.
I mean,
And her pie.
Okay, and Erin's pie because it's award-winning blue ribbon pie.
Yes, blue ribbon. Yes.
Right. So it's the last night of the fair. Everyone's going out, even Ma and Pa. And I love this here, as we all know, I am I'm a wine connoisseur. I study it. I work with it. I love champagne. I fucking hate Prosecco.
You hate Prosecco.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
it's not made the same way. It's not made the champagne method. And they have a great line here where Pa says,
Yes.
some of that imitation champagne. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
That's right.
They
And
fully
you know,
called it that.
they distinguish it from French champagne. I was like,
Yeah.
that's right. Thank you. Because not all sparkling wine is champagne.
You're right. And that is such a cute moment where she's like, have you ever had French champagne? He's like, nope.
I was like, yes, victory.
That's awesome.
I think it's so great, so great. So Wayne is, waiting on Emily after the show, and she wants to tell him something, but then she sort of just can't. She's got to go, and of course, Marty the Dick is like, you got to get on stage, and she's like, I got to go. The plugger is like, listen, buddy, here's what she was trying to tell you. She's actually married, and they're separated. They've been split for a year. She seems to really dig you, but but during that conversation, I love it. Like, Wayne needs to calm the fuck down. He's like, I want you to come back to the farm tomorrow with me. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? You just met her. You're going to bring her back to the farm and meet the parents. A world traveler like her is going to go to the farm.
She's a professional lady.
Yeah,
she's
exactly.
She's on the radio every night. She's performing. She's a professional singer. She's on the road. These are all her castmates. They're gigging.
She's off to Oklahoma in the morning.
Well,
Come on.
Chicago, Chicago.
No, but you're right. It's like what he's doing is that he was so attracted to her star and her energy of being like, wow, this sophisticated, glamorous woman, but then, wants to be a little bit of a gross guy and be like, all right, time to get you in the kitchen and barefoot and come back to the farm.
Yeah. Yeah. She's
Get in the back of the truck with my sister.
Exactly. Hope you don't mind. The hog's ass is going to be in our faces the whole 3 hours home.
But enjoy. But yeah, she too also had this sort of genuine, it's what we call in the business, I think I talked about this last week, a showmance. When you get in a show, you hook up with somebody in the show ends, normally the romance ends. I've had several showmances, as I'm sure all of us here did when we performed. And that's what it was, where she had this oh, he's here, this cute little farmer. Well, now I got to leave. I like him. I'm not going to give up I got a gig in Chicago.
Yeah,
it was she fell in love with a townie while doing her summer stock. Is what happened.
Yes. Townie tale.
It's a townie tale. You don't always hook up with your cast.
Yeah, it's true.
You don't always hook up with your cast because the percentage of the straight and gay is sometimes a crapshoot, and whether you're attracted.
Why I did musical theater.
But you might be finding someone that's the barista at the coffee place you're going to every day. Yes. So you got to get that townie action in.
True. Well, several townies for sure.
I think it was pretty, when the carnival came to town, or which was the Midway. I mean, it was known that these were a danger to the young girls of the town, and the girls also, I mean, they were horrible and creepy. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Woo. But, that's the other reason why the state fair, I mean, Wayne just got a little carried away. I mean, come on, kid. It was a fling. Fling. Eleanor's waiting. What happens at the fair? Stays at the fair.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Pat gets his Chicago job. Pat gets his Chicago job. And then he generally seems to have fallen for Margie, which we find out is the case. And he gets a Chicago job. He has to go. He can't go say goodbye to her. They're supposed to meet up. She waits forever, and we see the fair packing up. It's so sad. And you're oh man,
that feeling, but with no phones, and when someone fully ditches you and you're just waiting, it's so heartbreaking. of just like, sucks. You're just, and she waits till the end of the fair.
Yes,
like they're
pack it up.
She wasn't going to give up. She's like, I know he'll be here. I know. And then he didn't come. It was so sad.
Like, he couldn't have sent a message somehow, go find this girl and tell her I got to go. I'll talk to her. I'll call her later. Or like that. It's like, oh. But also, I love Mom and Pa at the fair. They're great. Besides the the champagne thing. So they get to where the dancing girls part. That's so cute. And Pa, of course, is like, yeah, look at that. Oh, I mean, it seems entertaining, Mom. What do you think? I mean, if you want to go. I mean, how many times I walk by a strip club with a girlfriend where they're like, oh, you've been there before. Are they fun? I'm like, if you want to go, we can check it out, I guess. It's cool. I mean, if you want it, it's fine. It was always their idea, whatever, it's fine. But it was so cute. I love how the Ma's just like, okay, let's just do it, whatever. So Ma had a great time too.
Well, no, I mean, that's the thing. They look forward to this all year. They are letting their hair down. They are drinking their imitation champagne. Mm-hmm. They're dancing. They're singing. They're going to a girly show. Like they're not doing this again for another year.
Yeah. The Pa did need to clock that drunk stalker, the mincemeat drunk guy.
Oh yeah,
who's total creep.
He kept showing up. I'm like, dude, flick him away. Although he's a little strong. But,
yeah, he really liked Melissa's mincemeat.
Mm-hmm, he sure did. But so Wayne gets his heart broken in the song plugger, takes him out and gets him drunk in a very weird moment, takes him back to his little camp area and starts undressing him and putting him in bed. I'm like, do you need to undress him completely to put him in bed? But he has a great line.
Shoes would have been enough. The shoes would have been fine.
He has this funny line where it's like one shoe off and the other shoe off. Diddle diddle dumpling, my son John. Hey, that don't rhyme like it used to. I'm like, the fuck does that mean?
Diddle diddle dumpling?
That's all I was like,
maybe. I will say the 62 version had one good line that they didn't have in this one, which was like when that version of Wayne, who's a race car driver, played, by the way, is saying, and Margaret isn't married. She's just like, yeah, moving on, kid. Although there's anyway some other, but he's like, that's it. You're gonna leave without a single word. She says, goodbye. Is that one word or two?
Yeah. Sure. That is good.
That's a good line. But yeah,
of course.
Yeah.
So we get back home. The kids are all down because they lost out on love. And then Pa tries to collect the money from Dave.
That's the biggest disaster. The kids are sad. Pa's going to lose $5.
Yeah, Dave is like, what's going on here? And then Wayne takes off because he's going to go right back to Eleanor. And then
which we don't know at the time. No, he's just moping.
He's I'm going to go take a drive.
He's like, I'm going to just take a drive. Yeah.
You have an idea though. Like, oh, he's going to go to Eleanor. He's got, tell her all about the fair. What happened, Wayne? What happened? So then the phone rings and Margie's pretty down. But it's Pat who's like, oh, I'm in town. Where are you? She's like, just drive to north and I'll find you. Whatever. It's so, so sweet.
Then she steals a car.
I love Ma Frank's like, oh, I'm sure she'll be back.
I'm sure it's fine.
So cute. I mean, he basically proposed on the phone because he yells out, you're going to be the wife of a columnist. Just so cute. They reunite and get a little kiss, and then who goes driving by? Wayne and Eleanor. Eleanor just oblivious to what just happened all weekend in his arms. Like, yes, it is a grand night for singing, I guess. Is it? I don't know. But,
what stays at the fair? What happens at the fair stays at the fair.
Jerk.
Well,
I've been on both sides of that.
I do think.
Love the one you're with.
Yeah, I do think
that's true. Can't be with the one you love, love one you're with. Yeah.
Well, I think their relationship is kind of parallel in a way. Listen to me through this. Okay. So while Margie is kind of stuck for a while with the fiance boy at home, she wants to go out into the world, right? And she wants to experience more, which is why she found Pat, right? But here we have Wayne, who has the perfect girl at home, because what he really wants is the girl to be at home on the farm and have that life. But he went out and had the adventure and realized that's not really who he is or what he wanted. Because what he wanted was the girl at home. He wanted the girl on the farm, which is why he tried to get her to come back with him.
Fair enough.
So I think he ended up exactly where he was supposed to be and found that out.
But okay. I mean, I did find the Pat Margie romance just a bit hard to swallow. That this cosmopolitan worldly journalist was going to suddenly fall for this farm girl, and you're absolutely right, Erin, in your analysis. But I mean,
I don't think he's cosmopolitan yet. He says he's doing the state fair circuit. He's
he
like,
lies a lot.
Yeah.
When he first wrote, he lied a lot too. It's
Like,
I've been here,
he's-
but then he confesses later. No, I actually haven't been. Doesn't he say something later like I actually haven't been all those places?
yeah, like he's working his way up,
Right.
which is why that job that comes through, the Chicago job, suddenly he's like, oh, I've made it. I'm making the leap because he's been covering, hog competitions.
But,
he's not worldly.
Right. But he represents, what Margie
A
wants
local
to
paper, yeah.
wants to escape to.
Yeah.
She wants some excitement and glamour in her life and not
someone that's not a farmer.
Someone who's not a farmer. So, I mean, I guess it's interesting that it isn't explicitly stated that they're going to go away, that she's leaving the farm. Is it really?
Yeah, when he says you're going to be a wife
Chicago.
of a yes.
Okay.
We're going to be the wife of a
I'm coming. He literally says, I'm coming to get you. We're going to Chicago.
Okay.
You're going to be the wife of a columnist.
Yeah.
I guess I was just a little skeeved out by that romance. I'm sorry. I just,
You were thinking of the 62 one too much, maybe.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, I found theirs very endearing and kind of sweet.
Yeah, I think he genuinely fell for her. I think he was like, you know what?
Got what they wanted.
Yeah,
okay.
For sure. It was
What's that line he has when they're laying in the grass where he says something like, you would be awfully good for me. Like it's a very romantic line of like, if I loved a girl enough, I would keep her away from me because I, basically bad news, but she would be awfully good for me, that sort of thing. I think it's very sweet.
And even though they were awkwardly close, like in the grass, how they were
awkward,
like I got so distracted. I was like, they're so close to each other. What is
just make out? Come on, Jesus.
Yes,
you do in the grass.
Come on,
in the nice fake grass.
Yeah, very bright green grass.
Very, very bright green grass.
Yeah.
And just to talk about that moment too, which always made me laugh because she's talking about, it's the stars are almost gone, which means obviously it's daytime. And he's like, oh, hey, is it, the competition in a couple hours? She's like, oh yeah. And then she looks gorgeous at this thing. I'm like, girl, you slept an hour and a half after being up all night with your boyfriend.
I'm telling you, it's the Coke and the Coca-Cola.
I know, it's the cocaine and the Coca-Cola. You're right.
She's like also chugging them.
You're telling me her parents aren't going to be upset if she rolls in at 6 o'clock in the morning?
Right. Yeah.
Into the trailer.
Just like, it's the fair, whatever. Like that's the time that.
I think that I mean, the Hays Code aside, I think everybody knew what went on at the fair.
Sure.
And it was sort of, again, like Comic-Con. It's like what you're allowed to go do. I mean, the parents are not particularly concerned. Obviously, they see their kids are having some fair romances, and they're not, they're like, they'll learn,
That's how we met, Melissa.
Exactly. I was gonna say, that's how they met. Then
remember that we're having a little Coca-Cola. I mean, like back.
Well, didn't she say you were a good boy when I married you? And he said, that's what you thought.
That's what you thought. She's like, oh, let's go have some of that fancy champagne. All right.
Well, the Freaks are a great family.
Yeah.
They're a really good. The parents obviously trust and love their children. The children feel, there's no it's not a movie about generational conflict. It's like everybody's free to explore and find what makes their heart, their dream come true, whether it's Blue Boy or,
Pickles and mincemeat.
Yeah. Exactly. I loved it. I still love this film. I watched it like 3 times this week. It's great. I could probably watch it again. I listened to the Broadway soundtrack. So good. Well, we're going to do I want to mention a couple of other versions real quick before we go into the remake. And if Heidi, you need to bounce, I'll
stick it out. So
okay, cool. Maybe another.
So we'll
10
just,
minutes,
we'll keep it the little brisk here. We'll brisk.
So after the 62 remake, the original stage production was 1969. They used music from the film plus other Rogers and Hammerstein permitted stuff. And guess who starred in it? Ozzie and Harriet were the parents. And
nice.
Tommy Tune was in it as well, and he choreographed it also.
Oh.
But that didn't do very well. So they made this 1976 made-for-TV movie that was a pilot. They're going to make it into a series, non-musical. Didn't do well. The new stage production happened. The tour was successful. Comes to Broadway. We know what happened there. David Merrick came in, was a producer, it had all this money, and it just was a bad year, bad reviews, whatever. But yeah, then over in England, was it? Yeah, in the Finborough Theatre had a production in 2009, and then it transferred to the West End in 2010. for a limited run that was extended due to the popularity. So it did all right over there as well. So it's got, for what Briggs, who wrote the book for it, what he said originally, he just wanted to have a production of this that kids could do, that high schools and colleges could do, and it turned into this Broadway production and other stuff. So, which is great because the songs are great. And for the musical, they added other songs from other There was a song from Oklahoma that was not used that they used for this. There was a couple other songs from other shows that weren't used from Rogers and Hammerstein that they used for the Broadway musical, which you probably familiar with some of those songs.
But I think to make it a full-length musical, you would have had to flesh it out a bit.
Yeah, they did, and they did.
Yeah,
the musical definitely had lots of changes to it, not just the pig song, but yeah, it was so great. But so Kerri, every week what I do is I recast a modern remake of it, and because Hollywood is so white and I'm so Asian and I'm a former actor, I tend to cast it always ethnic, usually Asian. So I do a little recasting here. If you guys
keep those clips short, Jimmy.
Very short. So I give
very short.
So
sound
turned 2020 remake. So for Margie and Pat, actually have them singing together. I have Kathy Ang and Mark De La Cruz. You may know those names. Kathy Ang sang the song for Over the Moon. She's 25. She looks like she's 18. And Mark De La Cruz was the first Asian Hamilton. Amazing. So they actually have a little duet they did recently I found online. So let me just play just a quick little clip of that there. You can hear them.
Oh, there's no sound.
There's no sound?
Just as well. We won't get caught that way.
No, if we do a little...
but they're adorable.
They are adorable.
Okay, so if I do... Oh, sure sound, that's why. There we go, that would help. Yeah, so they're great. They're like... We will say we can't believe. We will say we can't believe. Sound great, right?
Perfect.
Nice. Yep.
Did you hear the sound? Yeah. Okay. So then we have for... And these are like usually... Guess what? No K-pop this week. It's all Filipinos because all Filipinos, we can sing, right? Well,
people can sing.
Most of them. So for Wayne and Emily, I'm going to have Darren Espanto, this young 19-year-old Filipino singer. He became famous when he was a kid for like Filipino voice kids, got whatever. And Morissette Amon, who is Asia's Phoenix, she's called. Also became famous on like a lot of the singing shows. She's like 24 in real life. They also sang together. I found a clip of them singing together. Where they when Aladdin film was out, they picked them as the representatives of the Philippines to sort of promote it, and they would sing together A Whole New World. Oh, no. Don't you dare close your eyes. Amazing. So real quick, Darren, this is him when he's 13.
Oof.
Are you kidding me? And this is what Morissette usually. Morissette's a belter. Nobody in all of us. Yeah, she don't mess around.
Yeah.
Awesome. Everybody does that option now. It's crazy.
Yeah, she's insane. When she goes up higher at the end, look her up later. She may be revisited when we get to The Greatest Showman. So then for Pa Frake, we're gonna have, you guys may know this guy, John Briones, who was in the original cast.
Yes.
Original cast of Miss Saigon, then came back years later. He played the engineer.
Yep.
And as Ma Frake, why not his castmate?
Roles. He
does.
Yeah.
He does. Oh my God!
He's a good bad guy.
Yeah.
In the Versace movie.
Yeah. That's right. He's also in. Yes! He's also in Ratchet right now too on Netflix on Ratchet. So why not have his castmate as Ma, Lea Salonga? We all know what she sounds like. So yeah, so they're great. And then finally, what we're gonna have is as Marty, the band singer, Jake Zyrus. And if you don't not familiar with me, you may know Jake before he transitioned. He used to be known as Charisse.
Yes.
Who was on Glee, amazing singer, of course. As Jake, he's still got a great voice. He'd be the band leader there. And then all directors, since he's about to direct a musical. Let's just have John shoot. He's about to direct the What musical is he doing? Oh, the In the Heights movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my modern day remake. And as Blue Boy would be no.
As Blue Boy. Well, I did do like this is the white belted hog. I mean, I love that the hogs are almost
My
identical.
friend Cynthia owns hogs, so maybe we can use one of hers to play
Yeah.
Blue Boy. So.
Yeah.
So yeah, amazing. I suggest looking some of those people up later.
Yes.
Because they're
Yeah,
amazing.
great
for sure.
stuff. Great stuff.
So yeah, so that's my modern day remake. Yeah, for sure.
You always nail the casting, Jimmy, every
Thank you,
time.
great.
Thank you.
Every
That was
time.
good. Really
Thank you,
good.
huh? Right on. And I'll play one of the. I'll play the Barker, Harry Morgan's part.
Yes, perfect.
We're having fun here.
For sure. So, guys, final thoughts on the 1945 only, the film that we love. I loved it. It's charming. It's fun. It, as you guys said, it reminds you of happier, more innocent times, which I wish I was born in that era sometimes, so I could be with someone like Jeanne Crain, and love her. But yeah, what do you guys think, Kerri?
It's just such a nice place to visit
Yes.
and live in that for a little while.
Yeah.
And then not have to, die at 54 and have 7 kids before I'm 30.
Yeah, rob someone to raise your child, or yeah.
Awesome. Erin?
Same. I love this musical so much because I think it just hits something. It hits my nostalgic little piece inside of me that just makes all the bad stuff go away and all the outside world go away, and you can just disappear into this world. Much of the same, I think, that Sesame Street hits you, or Mr. Rogers, or certain things where you just kind of go, oh, I feel so comfy here. I want to move in. I want to live in this world forever. It's like Schitt's Creek too. You're like, I love the whole family. I want to be a part of this family. And, so this is definitely a movie that I have watched on many a snow day or rainy day or a down day, that I'm like, I can revisit this and it will just warm my heart and make me feel so much better. And I'll probably do that for the rest of my life.
Excellent. Heidi?
Well, had I discovered it at a younger age, I think I would probably feel the way you guys do. I think coming to it as a cynical, jaded adult, I had a few more questions, but I totally see why you guys love it so much, and there's a lot to love in it. And like I said, it's a great family. It's a great evocation of the state fair experience for people at this, and it's sweet. And it's Rogers and Hammerstein. I mean, I'll say it's not their best show, but they had no bad shows. They had no bad shows. So it's
Well, I sent you all the sheet music. Did you get it? So we're gonna practice. Aaron, did you practice?
My state fair is the best.
Get it? Erin was gonna surprise us and sing with her ukulele, but
well, now we'll get in trouble. It's copyright.
Yeah, I think you can do that.
No, I think you can. You're allowed to sing.
Do your
covers.
own thing. I hope.
Yeah. It's as you're as jumpy as a puppet on a string.
Yes.
Well, Jimmy, I'll throw in here, for musical month. So just, we're doing for the next week, we're doing my favorite musical on the town, and then The Greatest Showman. So we have like a nice, my favorite musical movie, let's put it that way. And Erin will be joining us as our co-host for the month. But I love that you picked this movie because I did not know it. And let's face it, we all love musicals. I mean, we could sit here and be talking about, like 100 different movies. And this is it's really great to look back at one that, it's a little bit more of a cult film, I think, but it certainly has a lot to offer.
Well, that's the thing. I wanted to pick something old school and also very, very recent news. So that's why I went State Fair and The Greatest Showman. So wanted to be like, maybe had the Hamilton been a film and not like just a filming of the stage production, maybe I'd have picked that. But I wanted to do.
Well, since we're going to be in lockdown for another year, we have a lot more movies to cover.
True, we can do.
And I think they're going to release In the Heights this summer.
I think so.
I think we're going to get it, and I think possibly we're going to get the West Side Story too.
Yeah.
So those are going to be some exciting things.
The West Side Story. It's so good
to look forward to.
I've done that show 2 or 3 times as well. So yeah.
As have I. So I could maybe come back.
Oh, all right.
We'll see. Settle down. All right. We'll see.
Okay. I just had a really good time.
No, I'm glad. Thank you, Kerri. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah,
I appreciate
Kerri,
it.
so great to have you
Kerri's so
join
busy
us.
with her. She's a very successful company she runs and co-founder with Ovation. So she's very, very busy. And I appreciate you locking in this time to chat with us because
I loved it. Thank you,
I
guys.
appreciate it
This was
for sure.
fab.
Yeah. All right, guys. So as we said, next week we're doing Heidi's pick on the town. Week after The Greatest Showman, actually on the
New
town.
York,
I'm
New
not as familiar.
York!
Yeah, I'm not as familiar with On the Town. I think I saw it once when I was much
Oh,
younger. I watched it a couple more
You're
times.
what?
Yeah.
kidding me.
Nope.
Did you see it?
Oh.
Did you see the Broadway revival happen a few years
No.
ago?
I did.
I did.
No. Nope.
Oh my God!
I
Now,
I think I knew people. Did they do it
come to
at
my
Public Theater?
house. Come to my house.
Did they
Did
do
they
it at
what,
Public
Jimmy?
Theater? Did they do it at Public Theater? Like
No.
back in the 90s? Didn't they do
Oh,
it?
So there was
maybe.
a 90s.
Yeah,
there was
because
a
I helped.
90 No, it was Shakespeare in the Park.
Yes,
There
that's
it
what
is.
And
was.
then,
Yeah,
and then they brought it to.
that's what it was.
I think it was the Gershwin. So I saw it there.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
was
helped
good.
break down because that's how I used to do constructions, build sets for the Public Theater. So I took down the set of On the Town. So I came near the end. I didn't get to see it, but I helped build the noise funk set.
Oh.
So-
On top of our ass.
That's when what Jesse Tyler Ferguson got his first big gig.
Oh yeah.
I believe was that the
I
one?
met. I got to. Okay, I know we
Well,
got to go.
keep
Quick,
spelling
quick,
bee.
quick note about Jesse. I will always have a. I met him first. I met him years later through a mutual friend, and they're like, I met him first when he worked at one of those little theater bookshops. I think Theater Circle. This is a very sweet thing. But I always remember my grandmother had died, and I was of course devastated. I was very close to her, and I wanted to sing to her. And there's that song from Minnie's Boyd called "Mama a Rainbow." She may know or may not. Beautiful
Oh
song.
yeah.
No one had the sheet music.
Oh,
Yeah.
God, it's so good.
And I remember going, my friend Jim, who I did Superstar with, he was a manager at this theater circle. And I showed up, I go, do you guys? He goes, I don't know. He goes, you know what? I think Jesse, who works here, might have the music. It was Jesse Tyler Ferguson. He had it, copied it for me, and gave it to me. And I will always,
That's so nice.
always remember, always have love for that dude. I mean, he didn't know me for anything. He just met me. And probably would have done it for anybody. It was just because it meant so much to get it at the time.
Well, you know, I have a funny maybe anecdote here, just that I might as well throw in here. But you know
yes,
what? I
sorry, Erin, you're right. I just looked the cast up, and yes, he was the original Chip.
when
Yeah.
I was a kid, grew up a little kid, a very little kid in Fairfield, Connecticut, and we went to the Audubon, and I loved to get the cattails, the cattails with the seeds, and I was, like little kid, and like I'm going all over, and I remember like we're going in with my mom, and then there's this very guy kind of in a suit. I don't know why I always see the suit coming, and I'm getting the cattails all over. And my mom is mortified, and she's pulling me away. And then she was like, "Don't." She says, "Yeah, that was that guy. He writes the songs, Richard Rogers." Let me tell you, he did not like me with the cattails.
I couldn't imagine.
Not
Why?
not into it. He was not into it. So anyway, that was my only brush with the greatness.
Pretty good though.
That's awesome. Pretty good there.
Sure.
Right on.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So thank you so much if you watch our YouTube live. Thank you. And of course, we always release this as a audio podcast. A lot of people like listening while they're driving or on the train or whatever like that on Comic News Insider. But yeah, until then, I am Jimmy Aquino, the host producer of Comic News Insider. The weekly podcast covers comics, TV, film, and pop culture. You can find us at comicnewsinsider.com. You can find me at Jimmy Aquino, JIMMYAQUINO on Instagram, Twitter, the socials, etc.
And don't forget, you can subscribe and make sure you sign up for notifications, because apparently that is what you need to do. And I am Heidi McDonald, editor-in-chief of The Beat at comicsbeat.com. And you can find me on all social media at Comixace, COMIXACE.
I'm Erin. Yeah, and on Twitter you can find me at Erin Crosby Sings, and on Instagram I'm at Erin Crosby Makes for all of your food, flower, and dog enjoyment.
Kerri, can you be found online?
I can be found online on the Facebook and the LinkedIn, because I own a company. So
Right, yeah, exactly.
It's not super sexy, but I do serve mince pie.
There you go.
All
Awesome.
right.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody. And until next week, we'll see you at the State Fair.
See you at the State Fair. See you at the fair.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Okay.
Hold on.
Hold on 1 second, guys. Let's do a quick little
yeah.
picture.
Are we still live?
Yes,
No.
we are.
Oh, we are.
Okay.
Oh, she can cut it.
Wait,
She can cut it.
one more. Hold on.
All right.
I